Hey, howdy, folks. I'm Rex Ogle, and I'm so glad to be here with y'all for the 2025 edition of Every Library Live Banned Books Week Fest. Every Library is the first and only national political action organization for libraries. They are working across the country to support the freedom to read, defend the First Amendment, and make sure that libraries have the resources they need to serve their communities. This week, we're celebrating the power of books and stories that challenge, inspire, and sometimes even change the world. I'm excited to be your guide for this conversation with Jarrett Dapier. I hope I pronounced that. I should have asked him before, but we're going to just talk about comic books and we're going to talk about censorship. So let's get started. Welcome, Ben.
Thank you. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm really happy to be talking to you. By the way, you were close on the name. It's Dapier.
Dapier. Okay. I should have asked before.
That's okay. I'm not sensitive about it, but yeah, I'm really happy to be here. I'm happy to be talking to everybody, especially during Banned Books Week, and especially be hosted by Every Library Institute, whose work I love and support, and hope everyone watching also does the same, because it's really incredible what they do. And also, I was telling Rex before we signed on that we went live that I'm a huge fan of his memoirs, and if you haven't read them, I highly, highly recommend them. I started with Road Home, which I think is the third one, but and then I went backwards. But they're just I wouldn't be surprised if they have seen challenges. Have they?
Not yet. My guess is that no one's read Punching Bag and Road Home, because I feel like once they have, I wrote home maybe because I did get an email from a woman on a school board in South Carolina about a month ago. And she's like, we're about to ban your book. I just want to verify that there are sexual assaults in your book. And I was like, yeah, it's in the cover copy. Like we're not trying to hide anything here. Like it's a difficult book. It is young adult, but it took place when I was 17. So kids can deal with a lot more than I think adults give them credit for. Not librarians, maybe that their parents give them credit for, because I mean, these school librarians I work with on a regular basis. I mean, I just got back from the Chappaqua Book Festival, and while I was there, I went to 4 days of middle school visits, and the things that the librarians were telling me about what the kids are living through and how they're fighting against banned books, I'm just astounded.
And of course, sexual assault is one of the main features of a lot of books that are on these lists that are passed around by a lot of AstroTurf right-wing funded groups, sexual assault being one of the objectionable topics that people point to. So I think you probably, especially if a teacher starts like assigning a book like Road Home, you're probably going to see more of it. And South Carolina tracks, since it's one of the top states.
Yeah.
Where the most bans are happening, and the legislature is the most actively involved in trying to spread illiteracy and ignorance through censorship. So, I wouldn't be surprised. Road Home was my favorite one, and it's appalling to me to think that a book. Also, funny that board member was like, "We're about to ban your book." I assume this was someone who was like not happy with it, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
I was also like, oh, this is a really cute heads up. And I was like, well, do you want me to like zoom into the courtroom or write a letter? She was like, absolutely not. And it was like, so I tried retroactively like finding her on LinkedIn. And like, I guess she was a parent on a school board, so I couldn't find like who to talk to.
Yeah.
Like I was going to talk. I don't even know what town it was in. So it's like, I wish I could talk to someone.
I think there are lots of board members out there who are supportive of literacy, supportive of the freedom to read, who all deserve a Coke or a cookie, whatever they prefer, because they're the ones who, get the word out into the community, or they, contact us to say, this is happening and you ought to know about it, because otherwise we wouldn't.
Yeah. I do have, last week I got an email from a teacher being like, I bought a classroom set of free lunch, which, is my 6th grade memoir dealing with poverty, domestic violence, and home instability, which there are literally millions and millions and millions of kids living with this every day. And she's like, I'm about to lose my job. Can you help write a letter? And I wrote her back and I was like, do not lose your job over this. Please do not. This is not a hill to die on. It's better that the kids have someone who is forward thinking than to have you booted and replaced by someone who is for banned books. So these teachers and educators and librarians are walking a very, very fine line, and it's terrifying for them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I think we just saw in Time magazine, Amanda Jones, the librarian, chosen as one of the Time 100 people, that you need to know about because of what she'd been through. And hers is, unfortunately she's an exceptional writer and exceptional advocate for the freedom to read, but her story is not particularly unique amongst librarians in terms of the threats that school librarians in particular, but public librarians too, that they've faced from communities, parents individually, but also it's become increasingly, largely increasingly the work of governing bodies, elected officials, appointed officials who are organizing these fell swoop bans.
Yeah.
Now, it's almost like as a librarian, I feel a weird need to, puncture the misconception that it's parents, individual parents, or just people in the community who aren't even connected to the school or don't have a child there, who are the ones raising their voices and screaming. And those people definitely still exist. But it's something like 83% or something of the censorship in 2025 that we've seen that is coming from state legislatures, city councils. We're seeing mayors in towns dissolve library boards with the blessing of the state legislature, which happened in Alabama. Now, Alabama, you can fire your library board that is elected, and mayors can appoint whoever they want. So that happened in a town where my book, Mr. Watson's Chickens, was it was on a pride display, and that pride display caused the entire elected city officials, in particular the mayor and certain council members, to just lose their shit. And as a result, they took away the voice of the citizens who voted to put the library board in place, who voted for a pro-library board, and got the blessing of the governor and the state legislature to dissolve an elected board and appoint whoever you want. And this person, of course, appointed somebody who's not just one, but a majority of anti-trans, anti-LGBT, and queer folk individuals. So it's really sickening, and it's fascist, and it's anti-democracy. It's sickening.
Agreed. Now, here's the thing. I was familiar with your picture books, but you have a new book, a YA graphic novel called Wake Now in the Fire.
Yeah, that's it.
Make sure I got the title right. And it's about teens fighting censorship in Chicago and based on true events.
That's right. Yeah.
So can you tell me more about that? Because they sent me the book in the mail, and then I was like, I actually want to talk to them first, and because I like to read the first few pages, but I don't like to finish it. I like to be halfway through when I have the conversation.
I love that. That leaves curiosity and questions open.
Exactly.
Great. Yeah. So I don't even have the book yet. The publisher just got a bunch of advanced copies. I haven't seen it. I've only, of course, seen the galley 1,000 times. But this is it's a facsimile of the cover. The only difference being that the colors are much more vibrant in the final printed book. I saw photos yesterday. But yeah, Wake Now in the Fire, story of censorship, action, love, and hope. It is written by me and illustrated by AJ Dungo, who is a fantastic graphic novelist, author of...
May I have your attention, please?
That's my library.
The library will be closing in 15
announcing that we're going to be closing 15 minutes, people.
Wonderful.
Do so now.
And if you need to call anyone for a ride, please do so now.
I love that.
But yeah, AJ's first book was In Waves, which is, I'm happy to say, one of my favorite graphic novels. So I feel incredibly lucky and honored that he signed on for this, and his work is tremendous. But yeah, it's a story of teens in Chicago in 2013 who there was a really bizarre at that time incident where administrators within the Chicago public school system issued a directive that all copies of the graphic novel Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi were to be removed from every single school in Chicago, every single public school. And so that's over 500, almost, I think, over 600 different schools that they were supposed to make sure if they had Persepolis, it gets removed. And a bunch of the network chiefs in that network that were supposed to go to the schools didn't go. They didn't, but one guy who was Johnny on the spot, Mr. I don't know if he was gunning for a promotion or what, but he showed up at Lane Tech High School, which is, if you know Chicago, it's north side near Wrigley Field. It's an enormous magnet high school. And a lot of well-connected kids happen to go there. So like the daughter of one of the Chicago Tribune's columnists went there. And so he heard about it. But what's most important is that a group of kids acted right away with incredible swiftness to organize a protest right outside the school at a really busy intersection, Western and Addison, within days of the directive coming down. They were savvy enough to contact media. So WGN and Tribune and Chicago Reader, everyone was there. Local comics artists, like Beth Hetland at the School of Art Institute and others like it. They showed up. Office for Intellectual Freedom president at that time, Barbara Jones, showed up. I mean, it was incredible. And it turned out that there was a banned books club already in existence at this school, and they'd read Persepolis previously. So they were part of it. And yeah, it all went down. It made a big splash, but Chicago Public Schools kind of wriggled their way out of it, saying it was all misunderstanding and tried to just let the issue die. Thankfully, the egg on their face meant that the students partially, almost totally won to battle it back. So I wrote, I did a lot of research. I interviewed a lot of the kids who had been involved, and this was 10 years ago. And I eventually turned it into a fictionalized account because
I love that.
It's full of dialogue and it's full of different personal stories that are invented by me. But for the most part, how it went down in real life is how it goes down in the book. Yeah.
Okay. I have a feeling that the PDF I got is of what you just showed me, because I was like, it seems really short.
Yeah, this is the sampler we gave out at American Library Association conference.
That's what they emailed me. Now, question for you. Have you talked to your editor or the publicist or the marketing team and asked, like, is your book, because it's about banned books, gonna be banned? Do they have any concern about that?
I haven't heard any concern from them. One of the main storylines is a boy named Weston who's in love with Miguel, and Weston also has panic disorder, and so he decides not to go to the protest because he panics in crowds, and but it becomes a rift between him and Miguel. But so there's a love story throughout, and they work it out and end up kissing and falling in love, and they end the book. So if you want to ban it for homophobic reasons, there's that. One character's dad has a overdose from taking Dilaudid painkillers. That's a scene where he almost dies and has to go to the hospital. If you want to ban it for I guess substance use or references to it, you could do that. So I guess I wouldn't be surprised. But it would be quite ironic.
It would be.
But that doesn't seem to faze anyone these days.
No. Well, I find ironic, if I'm using the word correctly, which I might not be, because I always get confused. But like when the only book I've had banned was Meg Jo Beth and Amy, which is a retelling of Little Women.
The library will be closing in 10 minutes.
10 minutes, everybody.
If you need to make arrangements for a ride, please do so now. Please bring all selections to be checked out to the.
Also, you got to bring your things to be checked out before we close.
Okay.
So,
very smart. Very smart.
Get all your Rex Ogle books.
But Meg Jo Beth and Amy, which is a modern day reimagining of Little Women.
My daughter loved that book.
With a diverse family. The dad's away in military because I come from a military family. They're struggling to make ends meet because some military people don't make a lot of money. The dad is black, the mom is white, they have mixed race children. And of course, Joe comes out because, let's face it, that's, I think, what was intended by Louisa May Alcott, which is debatable. But I read her journals back in high school for extra credit. And she talks about being like, I was born in the wrong time. I was born in the wrong body. I should have been a man. I don't like being a woman. And so she didn't have the vocabulary to say, and I'm not assuming anything, but what I read sounds like maybe if she was here in modern times, she may be in the LGBTQ community, or at the very least an ally. And it's so funny because that was banned in Louisiana and Texas, where I'm from, of course. But librarians fought. They got it back on the shelves. It was not put back in the middle grade section. It was put in the adult section.
Adult? See, that's
adult.
censorship. That happened to my book, Mr. Watson's Chickens, about two same-sex couple in love with one another who have an overwhelming chicken problem. It was moved recently out of Alabama, a different Alabama library, to the young adult section. So now when I go to their catalog and look, it says Mr. Watson's Chickens, YA fiction. Ooh. And that's censorship. People say it's still available, but no, that's a way of putting it under the rug and making sure it's not found.
Yeah. What I think, maybe this is what I meant by, this is ironic, in my opinion, if I'm using it correctly. Great Gatsby, one of my favorite books of all time. Of course, it's required reading. It has been for years. You know, I did all this research because this year is the 100th anniversary, and I loved it so much. And I already knew that F. Scott Fitzgerald liked to dress in drag. Mm-hmm. I do not know the circumstances of this. I did read Zelda Fitzgerald's one of her journals, and she was very vehemently against her husband cavorting with other men, drinking till late hours, and wearing women's clothing. I'm not going to assume anything about their marriage, but I do find it interesting that we're so homophobic in this country. But that book, which when it came out, no one liked it. The reviews were terrible. Mm-hmm. And then someone in the military chapter was like, you know what? We're sending all these kids overseas. We should send them books. So what boosted Great Gatsby into required reading was the military basically bought 1 million copies, printed it up, and gave it to all their soldiers on their way to World War I.
That's amazing.
And that's how Great Gatsby got started. And so it's funny because it's like the writer was obviously all about gags, and, you know, I'm not assuming anything about him. But like, he was a man who liked to dress up in women's clothing from time to time, and his wife did not like it. But I would think that the people of today, if they knew that about F. Scott Fitzgerald, I don't know if it would be required reading. I think it would be a banned book.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I just love these little fun facts about history that I'm like, do y'all even do research when you ban these books?
And that's the thing is, when you said that, you know, Road Home, for example, has not faced challenges except that one. There's a lot of stupidity because they depend on a list being created, and those lists are insidious and terrible. And people are using AI now to try and develop lists based on keywords they're looking for. But until that gets more sophisticated, they're missing a lot of stuff. I mean, there's a book I love called Queer Ducks that, I mean, it's about
someone wrote Evan something.
I can't remember.
It's in my to buy list.
It's so good, and it's about same-sex behavior, same-sex like relationships and coupling in the animal kingdom. Yeah, and it's incredible, and it's thoroughly researched. But oh my God, is this going to piss? That people are going to lose their shit when they finally get around to figuring it out. But I'm glad it hasn't, because it's a good one.
Yeah.
May I have your attention, please? The library will be closing in 5 minutes.
It's like a warning for us too, because I think we got 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Bring all selections to be checked out to the patron services lobby at this time.
So it's funny because at closing time in the libraries, we did not have an announcement, but I watched the clocks, and around 1:45, the librarian at Grapevine Public Library would walk around and just tell everyone, she's like, you got 15 minutes. At which point I, as a child, would take like a handful of books and I would go hide in the bathroom stall in the men's bathroom. Because all the librarians were female, and I always got so close to being able to spend the night because I didn't want to go home. I didn't want to.
I was going to ask.
With the violence at home, I was like, the library was a safe space to me. but the librarians knew me well enough. I mean, I don't know how they did it though. They like clocked me every time. I tried 4 times to do this, and all 4 times they're like, I can't let you stay here. I'm sorry. And they were very sweet about it. They were very loving. These librarians essentially saved my life. I mean, these were all women at the time. I'm so glad there are men librarians now, but this was 80s rural Texas. They shared their lunches with me. They saved books for me that they thought I would enjoy. They knew I was reading well above my age. And they were just the most wonderful, loving people.
Mm-hmm.
And the librarians I meet all the time these days, like, it's funny. My parents can't make me cry. Bosses can't make me. No one has ever made me cry, even in like relationships. Like, it's very difficult to get me to cry. When I'm around librarians, I'm always crying. Always. Like, you can ask librarians, and I'm like, I love you. Thank you for what you do. Like, because they're not just frontline workers, and they're not just checking in and out books. They are, I mean, I don't have to tell you this, but y'all are underpaid, underrespected, overworked. You're basically like social community leaders. Like, the amount of work that librarians do, and now their jobs are being threatened by this whole banned book craze, it just upsets me on so many levels.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you deal with it on a daily basis?
I deal with it by, I usually do research and read just like tirelessly on a topic that is causing me panic and anxiety. And book banning and the potential closure of libraries, of course, is one of those that does that. So I read every day about book banning, what's going on. And the good news is reading about all the people who are A, tracking it, and B, banding together to fight it, and just the efforts to fight back. So that's really how I'm managing it. And then, you know, I gave money to Iowa Freedom to Read Project, Texas, Florida Freedom to Read Project. You know, I try to be supportive whatever I can. I started a podcast called I'm With the Band, and interviewing authors and librarians.
I volunteer for tribute if you ever need someone.
Please, I would love that, because I think we have a lot more to talk about. But yeah, it's really about, but also, you know, it's the kids and the families that come in that are the reason I can deal with it, because coming here every day allows me to connect with kids. I know so many kids who I know their taste, and when they come in, what they're looking for. Over the course of my time in libraries since 2009, I've been at libraries where there have been several different instances of teens successfully sleeping over in the library. So kids like you and it's knowing that we're so much more to people than, you know, the cliched images of shushing and checking in and out books, and then living it every day through my interactions and the relationships we build. So that's really what it is. But yeah,
it's one of the things I like to do when I do school visits. Like, if I get rich schools to pay for me to go places, they pay for my flights, my hotels, and while I'm there, I go to Title I schools for free. It's like my favorite thing to do. I'm like, steal from the rich, give to the poor. But whenever I do book clubs,
good tip.
Whenever I do book clubs with kids, I always ask them, and they generally shy. I mean, you know, kids are really shy when you're first talking to them, but at the end of it, I'm like, what are topics that you want to see in books that you haven't seen before? Now, I know, and the librarians know, there are books that pretty much carry everything now, which I think is amazing.
But the Niles Public Library is now closed. Have a good evening.
Have a good evening. But what's really, I just lost my topic. What was I talking about?
You were saying asking kids about topics.
Yes. And at the last book club I was at, this girl comes up to me afterwards, because often they're shy in front of each other. She hands me a note card, and on it she has written all of the topics that she wants to read about: sexual assault, rape, domestic violence, racism. And I'm like, these are all books that are being banned. And I'm like, this kid wants these books. These kids want to see their lives reflected in the books they read. And I think it's so important to give the kids not what they want, but what they need. And And yeah, I feel like
I
the
agree.
banned books movement is just really destroying that. It's taken away children's choice, and that's very unfortunate.
Yeah, I think it's all part of a concerted effort to dehumanize marginalized people. And Toni Morrison said in her essay "Racism and Fascism," one of the steps to doing that is to fence off all art forms, monitor, discredit, or expel those that challenge or destabilize the process of demonization and deification. And so I think that's exactly what's going on. Is the books humanize real human topics and real experiences.
Yeah.
You can't demonize people if people read those and realize we're endlessly complex.
Yeah.
So on that note, I think we're supposed to stop.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Stay tuned for Rex Ogle on I'm With the Band podcast coming soon.
Yes, I would love that. I'm not sure if we're supposed to say anything to wrap up, but I will say it's been great chatting with you.
You too.
You and every library.
And I want to note that Wake Now in the Fire is available for pre-order. It comes out February 3rd, 2026 from 10 Speed Graphic. So I hope if you are intrigued, you'll pre-order it. It helps a lot.
Awesome. Tell people where they can find your podcast or you on social.
Yeah, it's on Apple and on Spotify. I'm With the Band.
Awesome.
Band being BANNED.
And I'm at rexogle.com or Third Rex on Instagram. I have a really fun newsletter that I started because my publisher told me to. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to try and sell books. I'm going to try and give people like a little moment of joy in their day. So it's a happy newsletter. Y'all should check it out.
I'll sign up.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Rex.
Good chatting with y'all. Thanks, every library.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.